Tonight, Environmental Protection Authority, under its new leadership appointed by President John Dramani Mahama, demands declaration of state of emergency to deal ruthlessly with galamsey of all forms, as new CEO reveals killing of some Forestry Commission officers by illegal miners.
Because we have people who are mining that are armed, we get our people having the Forestry Commission staff being killed. It's not out there yet. We need to declare a state of emergency, and then we clean our water bodies.
But the burning question remains: when will the government finally repeal LI 2462, the law that flung open the floodgates for mining in forest reserves?
For another one to be signed, which I signed last Thursday.
So when is it going to Parliament?
It will be laid before Parliament. Mind you, well, very soon.
Top story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Fostina Sarfo. Please stay for details. Tonight, in an unprecedented move, the new leadership of the Environmental Protection Authority, appointed by President John Dramani Mahama, is demanding the declaration of a state of emergency to deal ruthlessly with illegal mining of all forms. CEO of the authority, Professor Nana Ama Brown Kluche, has backed the calls, insisting that it may be the only way to curb the relentless onslaught of illegal mining. Now, this is the first time, really, that a state entity has publicly backed the state of emergency declaration calls. Just months ago, the crisis sparked outrage, with labor unions led by the Trade Union Congress once threatening a nationwide strike, only to back down after the previous government outlined its response. Now, just weeks ago, the Lands Minister revealed to Parliament that nearly all of Ghana's forests and water bodies are under siege by armed illegal miners, ravaging the country's natural resources with impunity. While John Mahama, on the campaign trail, if you would recall, vowed to crack down on the menace. Yet, nearly 3 months into his presidency, the destruction continues at full throttle. While law enforcement agencies have ramped up efforts, arresting over 100 illegal miners in the past week alone, their impact has been minimal. Many miners, now heavily armed, continue to defy the law. While speaking on the probe with Carlos Coloni, Professor Kluche admitted that the EPA and other agencies have been rendered helpless against this growing threat.
I believe that we are at a war, and the fight against these illegal activities cannot be done by any single institution. In fact, it's bigger than any single institution. So it's not EPA. I tell you that our capacity cannot meet up this fight. EPA has 777 employees.
Okay.
And looking at the mining site alone, I mean, the illegal mining site alone, it's beyond that. And mining is not the only activities of the EPA. Now it's a national security problem because the Forestry Commission are not even able to enter certain forests in the country because we have people who are mining that are armed. We get our people having the Forestry Commission staff being killed. It's not out there yet. But
so then, some have been killed?
Yes. It's not out yet, but I'm sure in a due time they will come up with
by these illegal miners.
By the illegal miners, because they are armed there, and the Forestry Commission, they have guards, they have forest guards. They are not as armed as these illegal mining areas that they have the men there armed. And the Forestry Commission uses or works with the national security, they work with the military in this kind of fight. And you can see clearly that there are efforts, but it's not meeting up to the illegalities out there.
Well, she has now backed calls for the declaration of a state of emergency, insisting it might be the only way, really, to get ahead of this menace.
They issued a statement on mining in our water bodies, that all activities in that category must stop. because every activity or mining in our water bodies is completely illegal. There's no license is given for any person or group of persons to mine in our water bodies. So it's a no-go area.
Right.
That is one thing I did immediately, because we know how much our water bodies have been polluted. Virtually every major river in the country is polluted. So it is a state of emergency for our river bodies. But if in a broader term, looking at this national security threat to our land, to our forests, to our communities, to our staff, to even staff of forestry commission, and every other Ghanaian, this is a threat to us. I will support the fact that the president should declare a state of emergency for the illegal mining activities. For me, I will go for that. It can even start small with the water bodies, because that I see as an emergency, the situation that we have to deal with. I don't know if I'm the only one seeing the water body situation as an emergency, but the whole country, all Ghanaians must also be part of this fight.
Okay.
Well, the Lands Minister, Emmanuel Kofi-Boah, described the illegal mining menace as a crisis of our lifetime. Now, he said this at the launch of the Blue Water Guards Initiative. Now, this initiative is aimed at training and deploying water guards to police water bodies.
We've been endowed with a lot of resources, and we have laid out laws and guidelines on how to mine for gold, and government is prepared to support every Ghanaian who is prepared to mine for gold, to do it in a very legal, environmentally sustainable manner. Our once thriving forests and water bodies, who should be vibrant symbols of our national pride and prosperity, are under unprecedented siege. The small-scale mining sector, which holds tremendous potential for a sustainable economic growth, is instead marred by rampant illegalities, impairing the very foundation of our society. The repercussions are far-reaching and devastating. Toxic rivers, vanishing biodiversity, food shortages, climate disruptions, and crippling public health emergencies. This is the real challenge we face. The imperative for urgent action has never been more pressing. The term they use, they call it the urgency of now. People don't want us to say it, but this is crisis of our lifetime.
Well, that's him just telling us what exactly it is. He describes it as a crisis of our lifetime. Just last week, though, the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, told Joy News the process to repeal the existing legislative instrument, LI 2462, which opened up forest reserves for mining, has already begun.
As a matter of fact, we have started the process to repeal the LI. We wrote, mind you, the LI ought to be initiated from the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. We started the process last 2 weeks. In fact, that was barely a week after I was sworn in. We did what we needed to do. I signed the letter to the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General. The ministry looked at it and did what they needed to do and returned the letter to me for another one to be signed, which I signed last Thursday.
So when is it going to Parliament?
It will be laid before Parliament. Mind you, well, very soon.
Exactly is very soon. That's the question we're asking tonight on Top Story, and we'll be getting answers shortly. But let me take you to Parliament. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us live with more. Kweku, we just heard from the minister last week Friday assuring that the process to actually repeal LI 2462 would be triggered this week. And he said soon, to be precise. Last week, did you monitor what happened in floor of Parliament? Did it come up at all?
No, in fact, as we speak, that LI has not, the revocation has not been put before Parliament. But in fact, the day after Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed granted Evans Mensah that interview, he was on the floor together with the Attorney General. At the time, the House had been suspended in a conversation, and my understanding was that there was a conversation about what exactly the process would be in putting that revocation LI before the House. In fact, at some point, the Lands Minister joined, and the former Lands Minister, Samuel Abujinapo, also joined. And so from the top, you could see the four gentlemen in the middle of Parliament having a conversation. What I've been able to pick was that they were sharing ideas in terms of the processes, because the Lands Minister, the former Lands Minister, and other people have their own views on how this process should go. So, Fostina, two things. First, that revocation LI has not been laid, and so LI 2462 is still in force, but we understand the process is far advanced, and had it not been for the budget and its processes, it will be laid. Tomorrow, again, Parliament will sit and will monitor to see if Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed will keep to his word and put that LI revocation before the House to revoke LI 2462.
Thank you, Kweku Ashanti, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. So tonight on Top Story, we're just getting into this, really, looking at the commitment from government. Now we've been hearing from the EPA boss for the first time. She's backing calls for a state of emergency to be declared on our water bodies. We've had assurances from the Lands Minister that indeed they will deal with this issue. Today he launched the Blue Water Guards initiative in the Western region, and we've also been hearing from the Environment Minister. He's been assuring that the process is far advanced to ensure that LI 2462 is repealed. Now we will be having the conversation shortly as we look at what exactly government has done so far and what we should expect from them. You can share your thoughts with us on all our social media handles. This is Top Story. You can share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp 055-1111-997 as we get into the conversation. I told you that the Lands Minister as well as the Environment Minister will be joining us shortly as we look into this. We want to get details about this Blue Water Guards initiative. What exactly is it? How different is it from existing initiatives launched by previous administration to deal with illegal mining? Now, we've been hearing also from the EPA. Just give us a picture of what is happening on the ground. Members of the Forestry Commission task force on the ground that's actually dealing with this issue, we've been hearing that they've been actually killed by some of these illegal miners, and that's a concern to us. We're just getting on the phone lines right now to speak to them. You're still listening to Top Story. We'll be back.
Football's magic never fades, even from the couch. The sound of halftime banter replays at the touch of a button. Sharing with my chosen crew, pure game magic. It's like I'm there, but with a better view from the comfort of my home. Priceless. From the March 3rd to April 30th, pay with your MasterCard, online or in-store, and stand a chance to win a unique priceless viewing experience of the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends. MasterCard, proud supporter of Nostofan. T&Cs apply.
Rediscover the taste of Ghana with Ifriwara Akono Sweet Ginger. These ginger candies, passionately crafted, are a true treasure of our land. Savor the strength and spice of ginger, known for its invigorating taste. Each candy is an explosion of flavors, reminding you of the richness of our Ghanaian history. With Akono Sweet Ginger, it's the pride of a quality product, locally made, that you're enjoying. Ifriwara, the legacy of taste. Taste the authenticity of Ghana. Taste Akono Sweet Ginger. This advert is FDA approved.
Akono Ginger, feel the heat, spicy treats that can be.
You're still listening to Top Story, and thankfully I have on the phone lines now the CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown-Kluge. Thank you so much for your time here on Top Story. Now, you've just been revealing some shocking details about the acts of illegal miners ravaging the country's natural resources with impunity. Now, you say that some of them have even gone the extra mile to attack some of the Forestry Commission staff on the ground trying to deal with this situation. Currently, as we speak, we've been hearing from the Lands Minister just launched a new initiative to deal with illegal mining, the Blue Water Guards Initiative. Share your thoughts on this. How effective will this be in dealing with the issue of illegal mining?
Hello. Good evening. Yeah, so good evening to your listeners. As I said on set yesterday, in my first week, I issued a statement for all illegal activities to be ceased in our water bodies and around the water bodies. So when we observe the situation now, we see that we're still in that critical situation where the illegal activities are still ongoing. That is the state that we are in. A lot of the water bodies are polluted and they're still going through the same pollution from illegal mining activities. That is currently the situation.
Now, you want government to declare a state of emergency, and that's the first time we're hearing from an authority actually backing the calls by civil society organizations to indeed declare state of emergency. With the launching of the Blue Water Guards Initiative, do you think it's enough to deal with the issue of the pollution of our water bodies?
Yeah. So the idea of the Blue Water Initiative by the president is to remediate our water bodies and then make use of the water bodies, so the resources, so water as a resource and the good things we can get out of it. But if we have the water bodies polluted, we cannot use the water for anything at all. So first we need to remediate the water, protect the water, and then use it for everything that we plan to use it for, which includes it being a source of water for drinking, for domestic purposes, for commercial purposes, and even for travel. But as it is now, we can't use it for anything. And so we first need to remediate the water, and then we protect the water. So the issue of water guards that's going to be employed are going to protect the water for the sustainability of the cleanup exercise that we are going to do.
But in spite of this initiative, do you still feel it's necessary to declare a state of emergency?
Yes, I would say at least for our water bodies, it's an emergency situation. We need to have the president declare a state of emergency. What I don't know is the implication, because I'm a technical person. I don't know the implication it has with diplomacy or national security or any other thing. What I feel or know is for the state of our water bodies now, it needs that kind of declaration. So it's in the president's own prerogative to declare or not declare, depending on the advice you get from other institutions.
Okay.
But again, from the technical point of view, that is the route I will go.
Now, let me bring in now the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. Thank you so much for your time here on Top Story. Just last week, Monday, you told Evans Mensah that you are going to trigger the processes in Parliament to repeal existing LI 2462, which actually opened the floodgates for mining in forest reserves. It's been 1 week after. What's the update?
Well, first and foremost, let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. I'm surprised you're interviewing, EPA chief executive and you're interviewing me too on the same thing. But that is beside the point. We actually started the process. I engaged the ranking on subsidiary and legislation. Honorable Patrick Buama, I engaged the leadership, and we will be laying it pretty soon. What I said, and which I want to reiterate, is that this LI will be repealed before the expiration of the 120 days that the president promised. That I said, and I remember when Evans wanted me to give specific date, I said no. But one thing I can assure you and your listening public, that we will meet the 120 days promise His Excellency the President made. So what happened because of the budget, we had a discussion, we agreed that we are not going to have a pre-laying because it is just an amendment of that portion that we are doing. So we don't need pre-laying because we knew that if we were to engage in pre-laying, it was going to take a longer time. So we agreed when I spoke with Honorable Patrick Buama and then spoke with the Honorable Susu and also the leadership. They all agreed that there wouldn't be the need for any pre-laying. So the laying, hopefully, we are looking forward to it. We may have it tomorrow or latest on Wednesday. We'll have it late.
Do you think it's high time we declare state of emergency, especially with our water bodies?
Well, I'm not in the position to determine whether the security, situation is enough for us to do so. The people clothed with the capacity to do that is the leadership of the security agencies. But if indeed the security agencies deems it fit for us to declare a state of emergency, why not? But one thing I can say is that it's a fight we will not relent. We will fight it, and we will not spare anybody who is participating directly or indirectly in the destruction of our water bodies and the habitat and the environment we live in.
We've just been hearing from the EPA. Just give us a sense of what is happening on the ground. Illegal miners attacking forestry commission staff, killing them. What's been done to deal with this issue, really?
Well, if any attempts to do so, such individuals will be treated as pure criminals. And the appropriate action certainly will be taken against them. I don't want to put out certain information out there because they border on security, they border on proper planning. And you remember even before we provided the information of the excavator seized and the people arrested, we didn't announce it. We think that is the way we need to act. Because if you come on radio to announce what you intend to do, then you must as well just forget of doing that. As I talk to you, there's some action that is being taken, and we won't announce that on radio. No, I won't do that.
Thank you so much, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Just giving us a sense of what we should expect. Well, join me now. I also have Ken Ashimi. You've been leading this for a while, pushing the fight against illegal mining. We've been hearing from government today. They launched a new initiative, the Blue Water Guards Initiative. Now, they plan to train and deploy water guards. This is not different, really, from what we've seen in the past with the Operation Vanguard. Do you think this is a more effective way of dealing with the issue?
No, don't compare this to Operation Vanguard. This is nowhere close to Operation Vanguard. This is the same as what the former government, this water guards thing that the former government launched somewhere in 2022. And you see, well, the difference that the Minister of Lands tells us is that they will be using local people. The challenge you have is that the level of the people who you're dealing with, the way in which they are armed, the capacity, whether these people will have the capacity to be able to deal with them. Sometimes, the areas where these activities are happening. And the question you would ask yourself is, how much training do these people have, so that they'll be able to deal with it? So, what the intention is good, but I am not too sure how effective this is, unless this is coupled with support from the Navy, support from the Air Force, so that where it is difficult for these water guards to be able to get into some treacherous areas, the Air Force can fly sorties over these places where they will be supported by the army on land. And so if we only leave it to these people who are within these communities
it will be difficult. And then what would also be important, and I'm sure those are some of the plans that the minister has, is the decentralization, so that these people would be working under a DC. But we have seen this issue about water guards being trained and being launched in the past, and so that with itself, it would not be, it's not a novel thing, it's not a new thing, and so it would have to be coupled with other things. We know the situation, even from the Operation Vanguard situation, where even some of the military and the police people were compromised. Now you have these, currently as we speak, a lot of the police leadership in most of these mining places are even compromised as well. And so if these people are going to act, and the amount of money that is involved, then the leadership to ensure that they are doing what it is that they are going to do is going to be important. So for me, this water guard thing, it is not new. Just go back onto Joy FM, your own website, and you will find out that, sometime in government talked about deploying speedboats on the river guards to tackle Galamsey. That was done in 27 July 2022. You have all of these situations that have happened in the past. So 87 guards passed out to protect country's river bodies. That happened on October 26, 2022. And so it's not novel. So it has to be coupled with other things. That is why, for me, the state of emergency is critical, and that's where I disagree with the current government and the minister of environment that you have in the studio. I completely disagree with them.
You disagree with what exactly?
I disagree with the fact that the state of emergency is not being declared in selected places. If you're going to get these river guards to work, what would have to happen is that on the river bodies, and then in the forest reserves, of which we lost 9 that the government has currently been able to reclaim about 4, there are 40 other ones who are also under siege. You need to declare state of emergency in the selected places, so that when these people are working, everybody knows that nobody goes into these locations. And then you support that with the security services and all of that to be able to rein this thing in. As we speak, the forest reserves, the water bodies under serious siege. And if we don't do anything about it, we will do all of these things and we would come back to nothing.
Hearing from the Environment Minister, give us a timeline. He assures that LI 2462 will be repealed. I'm sure you're pleased.
Definitely very pleased. I'm happy about the fact that he talks about the fact that they are even going to waive the pre-laying so that they would be able to cut the process. And for me, this is the way to go, where the government, the ministers, as they take their actions, they carry Ghanaians along. This definitely is a confidence building measure. It tells us that the government is committed to do, not only to do it, but it's actually doing it. And I'm definitely sure with the once all of this is being put in place, in the coming days, we're going to see this obnoxious law be repealed. What we want to see is to see a copy of the amendment that is going to be done. But we definitely need to commend the minister. He gave his word for this, and at least there's some action being taken. We want to see the bill being laid and getting the 21 days. I don't know whether, the parliamentarians and the lawyer and the AG and all of that will find a way in which they don't need to do the 21 days as well. But whatever it is, I think this is good progress that has been made. The thing that now we need to do, with the good intention of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and the activity that is, we all need to support to bring a lot of pressure. I can tell you, there's a lot of political actors involved in the Galamsey now. You have the situations where the MPP people who were involved in it now are going behind and collaborating with their NDC partners to say that their party is in power, and they are perpetuating it.
Thank you so much, Ken Ashigbe. He's convener, Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. I spoke to Murtala Muhammad, Minister for Environment, earlier, and also spoke to the EPA boss. Thank you so much for your time. And that's how we wrap up Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
Reasons why we connect each child. It not be say we won't make one our loved ones happy. Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That be my daughter, Angela. Say I go take care of my parents, it be my duty. Say make I pay my bills. I dey use Telecel cash. The suppliers for my shop there.
Hello boss, I get a Telecel cash alert too. They deliver the things right here.
I dey make them happy because I fit pay them directly to my merchant number for any network talk. Then sort my people out with Telecel cash for free.
If one a family parties, then business partners they happy. It be they make one a connection strong. Carry Telecel cash, send money, give your people for them a Telecel cash wallet store. Any day, anytime. It be free. Make you save money. Tap cool. Then make your menace smile. Anytime you go carry Telecel cash, send them money.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Where do your hopes and dreams take flight? The money you've earned, the future shining bright. At Petra, we're not just here for your retirement plan. We are here for the life you've imagined and then some. From your child's education to your dream home's door, we'll help you achieve what you're striving for. Petra is here, steady and strong. Your wealth in safe hands, where it belongs. With investments that grow at rates that compete, we build your future with every heartbeat. That's Petra, your partner. Come joy or strife, guiding you toward the dreams that define your life. For your pensions, investments, loans, and more, visit our website at petraonline.com or dial *447 *70#. Petra, achieve more.
There are some classy celebrations that calls for whipping out your favorite China sets. Same goes for your luxury vehicle. Just any engine oil won't do. Premium understands premium best. The new Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP is the one for your premium car. It's a fully synthetic motor oil designed using the Shell Pure Plus technology. Prevents dirt buildup with exceptional cleaning power, leaving your pistons cleaner than a whistle, up to 50% more than the industry standard, and gives you stronger, long-lasting engine performance. So, if you want your classic car to run smoothly like a Ferrari for years to come, use the Shell Helix Ultra SP020, made for premium. Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP, designed for ultimate engine performance.
On Newsnight tonight, the largest opioid drugs bust at the country's ports, valued at approximately 20 million cedis. We have the latest as Ghana continues to grab headlines for being the West African hub for killer opioids.
It's an issue we are very serious about. It doesn't mean that we don't want to facilitate trade. And therefore, henceforth, we will be very keen on transit goods. And nobody should misconstrue it to be anti or anti-facilitation of trade.
Also tonight, the scramble to avert a power crisis as Energy Minister visits the Ashanti region was hit by erratic electricity supply, with the commitment to avert a full-blown doomsday.
In fact, as of December, load shedding went as much as 750 megawatts. And so there's a lot of work that ought to be done to stabilize the situation. I'm happy to announce that so far, the supply situation has been stable and we are able to export some excess amount of power.
We'll take you live to Kumasi for more, plus hear from residents who are alarmed at the damage inflicted by the situation on their businesses and appliances.
take had a certain baby because take has
It's worse in this area. We experience it at least 5 times a day. It flickers on and off within hours.
You do the bear 1 hour, Chinia said, Dumino. Yet me doing the bear 5 times a day.
Also tonight, Ashanti Hinotun for said to reignites debate asking government to allow parents who can afford to pay fees and the free SHS program. We'll bring you details as he calls on government to cut budgetary allocation to non-essential sectors and use funds to support the program. Also later here on Newsnight, we are in Parliament where the minority and majority leaders have clashed over controversial proposal to build a new chamber and a hospital for MPs.
There are 2 things that I look forward to seeing happen in the 9th Parliament. 1, a hospital for Parliament. We can begin a conversation for a new chamber.
I don't think that the security issues warrant a discussion about constructing a new chamber, and that I totally reject as well.
In business, some oil marketing firms commence reduction in prices of petroleum products at the pumps, but way below what industry data projected.
And in sports, Black Stars hold first training session ahead of Friday's FIFA World Cup qualifier against Chad.
You want to stay with us for that and more, or here on Newsnight at 055-11-11997. We start tonight from the Tema Port, where custom officials have launched a manhunt for individuals behind what is being described as the largest opioid drugs bust valued at approximately 20 million cedis. John News understands Ghana was being used as a transit point for the drugs. A joint inspection by the Food and Drugs Authority, the Custom Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Narcotics Control Commission, the National Security, the National Intelligence Bureau, and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority led to the seizure of 5 different kinds of opioid drugs. Now, the development follows a recent BBC Africa Eye investigations which exposed the export of unapproved drugs containing some of these substances to West African countries, including Ghana. It is now emerging Ghana is becoming a major West African hub for opioids. Health Minister Kwamina Mensah Akando, who was present at the scene, reaffirmed government's commitment to deal with the threat.
Fantastic job. Let me acknowledge. After all, I was not here myself to impound this. We have the NACOC on board. We have the FDA on board. The customs, they are cooperating, except that it needs that political drive. They themselves cannot call a press conference. If FDA will talk, they will seek the clearance from their minister or any higher authority. And so it doesn't mean that they were sleeping on the job, but I can agree that it has also, awakened all of us to develop more interest to the extent that the president himself called for a meeting on this matter. And as I've already indicated, on my way here, he's already calling for updates. And he's already engaged his colleagues, head of state in the sub-region on this particular matter. So it's an issue we are very serious about. It doesn't mean that we don't want to facilitate trade. And therefore, henceforth, we will be very, 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 very keen on transit goods. And nobody should misconstrue it to be, anti or anti-facilitation of trade. It is for the interest of the nation.
The minister will join us pretty shortly on this, and we are learning that this particular bust and the opioids involved were coming into the country en route to Niger. We'll get details of this. We also learn a bit more about the origin of the drugs in question. Remember that the BBC Eye investigations had hinted that a lot of the drugs are coming from India. The health minister will give us more on this as and when we get him on the line. Now, I want to take you now to the Ashanti region, where it's hit by erratic electricity supply, leaving many angry and frustrated. The energy minister has tonight gone on a charm offensive in the region in a scramble to avert a power crisis, committing to avert a full-blown doomsaw. The minister, John Junapo, who is currently on a tour of the region following recent power outages in the area, has revealed that the challenge is partly due to a 750 megawatt load shedding that began in 2024 December. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, let's gauge the mood of residents. Clinton Yeboah has more.
Barbers, hairdressers and other local businesses have been hardest hit by the erratic power supply in major parts of Kumasi. Angry residents say the lights go out several times in the day. The situation worsened over the weekend.
Hey, I had it. take a had a certain baby cry because take a has it.
It's worse in this area. We experience it at least 5 times a day. It flickers on and off within hours.
You doom the bear 1 hour, Chini said Dumino. It's me doom the bear 5 times a day. And no crowd and then you cry, you doom near, so you doom near, so you doom near, so sa.
Omudum light na babes ne ba intimi yom esa na ede uba shop kra went my
As Babes, we come and we are compelled to go back home. It's really affecting our work. Dumso is definitely back. We are losing our items and all this heat. It's better they take the light than flicker it.
If it's going to persist, then you have to blame the government because they can't just put entrustment in their hands and they will fill us with this do so once again because Ghanaians are not ready for another round of do so.
The ECG attributes the power challenge experienced yesterday to jumper thoughts from the Ghana Grid Company. Public Relations Officer of the Ashanti West Business Unit of the ECG, Benjamin Owusu Entry, says the power distributor is working to restore power supply to the region.
But I think David, the minister went on to say that we are not shedding load. The supply and demand situation as we speak, everything is okay. That they have paid some $35 million to UNI and other gas producers as well. So I would want to focus on what happened yesterday. Because yesterday's issue is what has brought some sort of inconvenience to our customers.
So what's the problem? That's the Energy Minister speaking earlier today in the Ashanti region.
Because the demand and growth for electricity has been increasing, the power supply situation in the Kumasi enclave has been very erratic for several months now. So with the completion of this transformer, we would see a remarkable improvement as far as power delivery is concerned. It is true that the power system we inherited is very fragile and quite weak. Indeed, the records would testify that throughout last year, every month there was load shedding. In fact, as of December, load shedding went as much as 750 megawatts. And so there's a lot of work that ought to be done to stabilize the situation. I'm happy to announce that so far, the supply situation has been stable, and we are able to export some excess amount of power. But there's still more work to be done. Beyond generating the power, you have to evacuate it, you have to transmit it, and you have to distribute it. And so we are working around the clock to ensure that we address this challenge and ultimately ensure that we have a very, very reliable supply and delivery of power. Let me commend Gridco for completing this transformer. Is going to play a very, very significant role as far as power delivery is concerned. What we witnessed over the past 2 days has to do with the fact that when you are switching from one transformer to the other, you will have some few challenges. And so let me assure the people of Kumasi that that problem has been resolved. And we look forward to a very, very improved delivery of power. Once again, let me thank the regional minister. Let me thank the VRA chief executive. Let me thank the ECG chief executive. And let me thank the Gridco chief executive for accompanying us and working around the clock.
I want to bring in my reporter, Heming Terry. He's been traveling with the minister, joins us right now. Give us some context. Where has he been?
Evans, first, the energy minister visited the Ashanti regional minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene, in his office to discuss the reason of his visit to the Ashanti region, especially to the power enclave, and also to inspect ongoing power infrastructure projects happening in the Ashanti region. From there, he proceeded to the Mensah Palace, where he met the Asante Hene and his chiefs, and he assured the Asante Hene that, yes, government is aware of the power situation in the region, and that the Ashanti region, as at now, has been experiencing these unannounced power cuts. But because Gridco and ECG have been working on the ground, the situation will improve. Mr. Jinapor did announce that as at now, Ghana is producing enough power to export power to neighboring countries like Burkina Faso, and that Ghana is not shedding load as being speculated. He assured that once the engineers are on the ground working to ensure there's a smooth transmission between the 145 MA transformer that was recently installed by Gridco to aid supply and distribution to the ECG session, energy situation in the region will improve. From there, he proceeded to what has become the power enclave. It contains the important power installations in the Ashanti region at Angoma. So we have Gridco, ECG, that of our Mary Power Plant, the AXA, and then we also have the Senate Energy plants. Both the ASCA and then Senate Energy plants are being constructed. The minister was assured that by the end of this year, all these energy plants will come on stream to provide an excess of 750 megawatts, which will go a long way to help alleviate the problem of power cuts in the region and also enable Ghana to export more power to its neighboring countries.
Before the minister arrived, the regional minister had been bearing the brunt of this, taking on the frustration and the anger of people there. What has he been saying?
Yes, Dr. Amoakohene did say that for the past 1 month or so, the Ashanti region, power supply has not been the best, with so many complaints from residents in the region, and that he himself is not happy with the kind of communication between ECG, Gridco, and then the power consumers in the region. So he blamed the communication gap. We can take a listen to Dr. Amoakohene.
A few weeks, some months, we've been having this erratic power supply. Others have blamed it on sabotage, others have blamed it on a lot of reasons. But the last time I met with the ECG and the power sector players, what I noticed was that there was a communication gap between what they are doing and making that information available to the public. In times where there is even planned maintenance, you hardly get to hear of it. And the only thing you realize is that your power is taken without recourse to anything. So I met them and I encouraged them that as much as possible, communication is part of the work. So if there is a challenge, let us know so that we can help you to be able to resolve same. Formally, they've not been complaining about any problems. And I'm thankful that you are letting us know that even as far back as December, they were shedding over 750 megawatts of power. I think that if this is known to the public and they are aware of the steps we are taking to resolving same, they will be understanding so far as the issues are concerned, so that they will know what is ahead of us and how we are working to make sure we resolve same. Yesterday was epic because it was almost all over the districts and municipalities. So I had a lot of complaints from most of the communities. In some instances, it goes off a minute and after 5 minutes or 3 minutes, it comes back on. And that aspect actually damages a lot of the electrical appliances. So if there is a major fault, it's better you put it off for some hours, fix it before you put it back on. And while doing that, you have to let the public be aware. Thankfully, just in the night, you are implementing the 24-hour economy in your ministry as well. You indicated that you'll be here so that together we can be on the field and then look at the situation and see how best we can stabilize the energy sector within the region.
Fresh from his visit, he joins us on the line right now, the Energy Minister, John Jinapor. Mr. Jinapor, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, my brother.
I just heard the regional minister describe the situation yesterday as epic. What really is a problem?
Yes, yesterday and the day before yesterday, there was a major challenge in Kumasi in particular, because the newly constructed 145 MVA transformer, which replaces the 66 MVA transformer. And we've been having this challenge in the Kumasi enclave for some months now, because demand has outgrown the bulk supply point. And so we needed to change it and put a 145 MVA, which is more than double the current capacity. In switching, they had to take some people off. And usually for such a new plant, they sometimes suffer a bit of challenge. And so over the past 2 days, they had that major challenge. But I'm happy to inform listeners that they have successfully switched to the new 145 MVA plant. ECG has picked all the load as we speak. And so barring any unforeseen circumstances, the power situation should stabilize in the Kumasi enclave. Like I said, we are generating enough and even exporting some excess. But beyond generation is the transmission, evacuation, and distribution. And Kumasi had outgrown this very bulk supply point. But the good news is we've been able to transition to this new bulk supply point. So we should see much improvement, significant improvement as far as electricity and power delivery within the Kumasi enclave and Ashanti region is concerned.
What do you reckon will be the permanent solution to Kumasi's recurring problem?
I think they should solve the problem largely when it comes to the distribution. The permanent solution will be at the national level in terms of securing reliable fuel, which is gas. And like I said, throughout last year, every month there was load shedding. As of December, they were shedding 750 megawatts. And it's largely on account of fuel. And so we've had to buy some very expensive fuel to keep the lights on up to now. But for me, that is not sustainable. The cost involved is so much. We have stranded gas. What we need is to process our own domestic gas with a second gas processing plant so that we would depend solely on gas. It's cheaper, it's more reliable, it's more efficient, and it produces more power. But we will get there. In the interim, we are holding the system. We are supplying enough. We are also working on the bulk supply points and the transmission grid, which takes a bit of time. But I'm happy that at least that for Kumasi has been sorted out, and that will significantly improve power delivery.
Under the previous administration, to deal with the recurring challenges in the Ashanti region, they transferred the Ameri power plant to Kumasi. They renamed it Kumasi 1 Thermal Power Plant. How much of a difference has that made?
The problem is not just the generation. If you generate it, and like I said, you don't have a BSP, which is a bulk supply point, to evacuate that power, the people of Kumasi will continue to suffer. My inspection here shows that 6 of the units have been completed, generating 150 megawatts. The remaining 4, we estimate that, given the support we are giving VRA, we'll be able to finish that by the 3rd quarter of this year. ACFA is also trying to put on 370 megawatts. Senate is trying to put on another 300. So the combined effect of 370, 300, and 250 puts us way above 700, about 800 and something. So that means there will be a lot of generation, and Kumasi will become a generation hub. But the next challenge, and that's what we have to work on immediately, is that when the plants are ready, where would the gas come from? We have only one gas processing plant at Atuabo. We need the second one as soon as possible so we can pipe that gas to Kumasi and then export the excess power to Burkina. Last week, the Burkina Bay Minister of Energy was in Ghana pleading for 200 megawatts. So there's opportunity to export, but we must get it right so that we feed domestic, satisfy domestic consumption and export the rest. And that is what we are working on.
Last week, on the sidelines of the budget, you disclosed that Wapco may be curtailing some amount of gas. Has that been resolved?
Not fully. Wapco has curtailed the supply of gas from the west to the east to only 55 MMscf, which means that we have to spend money to buy expensive diesel fuel, light crude oil, and HFO. We are meeting them tomorrow to see if we can raise some money to pay off the liability that we inherited. Once we pay that, the pipeline is no more incumbent, so we can flow more gas from the west to the east. There are some plants today that are unable to run because of shortage of gas. And so if we can resolve that this week, then we'll be okay. But we have some major problems with AXA, with car power, with sand power, with early power, bridge power, and the rest. Their total combined liabilities exceeds 1 billion. How to address that debt that we've inherited, and how to prevent further growth in the debt, because as we speak, the collections are unable to pay all the IPPs. So that is one of the major headaches we are dealing with, and we are working around the clock to find solutions to these problems.
In the Wapco case, we owe them what, $20 million?
We've paid that. We've paid 35 million. We've paid 35 million to Wapco and gas. That is for gas that comes from Nigeria to Tema. But then the pipeline that we use to push our gas from the west, which is Takoradi to Tema, there's an outstanding liability. And because of that, they've triggered the default clause. And that is what we inherited. But we are working around the clock to resolve that one too, having been able to resolve the Nigeria one. But going forward, what concerns me most is that how can we stop the bleeding? How can we stop the piling up of the debt whilst we deal with the legacy debt that we inherited? And I'm working with the finance minister and all the stakeholders around the clock.
And how much is that outstanding liability from the transport you're doing of the gas from Takoradi to Tema?
That is about $12 million in terms of the default clause. The other liabilities, they've agreed that they will spread it for us. But if we can get them that $12 million this week, they would open that pipeline. And then we can push more gas. But there's no alternative, because if you don't push the gas, one, your gas is stranded. Two, you are buying expensive liquid fuel. So I'm meeting the Minister of Finance tomorrow. We must prioritize it. There's no shortcut to this. If we defer it or delay, the debt will compound, because you'll be paying the gas to ENI, and then you'll also be buying expensive fuel, and then the cost of the pipeline also persists. So you're taking a three hit. But if you can pay, then it reduces the burden in the overall situation.
Thank you very much, John. That is the Energy Minister. They're grateful that he could join us with that clarity there. If you live in the Ashanti region, he says the power has now stabilized on the back of the interventions that he had overseen today. And he's just been talking about that major challenge they currently still have with Wapco, with the transport of gas from Takoradi to Tema. He says the outstanding liability still remains $12 million. Meetings have been scheduled to try and resolve this. Let's get some further clarity on this. Dr. Isaac Doku is a General Manager, Corporate Affairs with Wapco, joins us on the line right now. Doc, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Newsnight. Give me your own understanding of the current challenges with the outstanding liabilities.
Good evening to your listeners. Please confirm if you hear me right.
Loud and clear.
Oh. Yeah, I think I was listening to the Honorable Minister, and he has adequately explained the situation.
Unfortunately, the line, just when I confirmed I could hear you loud and clear, had decided to conspire to make it a bit more difficult to hear. Let's try and get the clarity as this is resolved this week. The minister has given himself a timeline to fix this. It would be good to get clarity from Wapco too. And I know many of you want clarity so you can plan as well. And I want to get that for you, especially if you live in the Ashanti region. You have clarity now. The minister is very categorical that on the back of the interventions that had now been rolled out today, you can now expect stable power supply in the Ashanti region on a more permanent basis. But what about the rest of us? And Wapco is at the heart of ensuring that the power supply to your home is stable as well, because you're still curtailing some amount of gas. Dr. Doku is back on the line, hopefully on a better connection. Yes, Doc, I can hear you now, hopefully.
Yes,
it's great.
please
It's
confirm
great.
again.
Yes, it's good now.
Okay.
Yes, you were helping us understand the challenge with the curtailment and the $12 million. You said the minister articulated that accurately. He's doing a lot to try and resolve this. You are in a position to allow the gas to flow while this is being resolved?
Yes, let me explain. I think that the minister has articulated well. I mean, we've been working very, very closely with them. If you recall, a few weeks back ago, we did undertake the pigging, and the pigging exercise cost us tens of millions of dollars. And so we've been working closely with them to see how they can help us defray and reduce some of the debt from transporting the gas, so that we'll be able to meet all those obligations and keep the pipeline and gas flowing. So the answer to your question is yes, we are working very closely with them. And shortly, I know he's communicated with me, he's communicated with us, and we're very optimistic that soon we'll be able to lift the restriction and have the full flow from Takoradi to Tema.
I mean, if you have the assurance and you can attest that you're doing something about it in good faith, you can open the valves while this is resolved permanently, hopefully this week.
You must know that, again, we are responsible to our shareholders, and at certain times you can do certain things based on track record and given the past experience. I think the key thing I can say is that looking at it, even before the pigging exercise started, we started engaging them. We have very, very good relationship. The key thing is that, like the minister explained, from our side, you don't want the debt to grow to a certain unsustainable level. So the restriction was merely to make sure that we minimize our exposure, but still keep flowing the gas. So rest assured, I think that he's indicated in the Ministry of Finance tomorrow, etc. So we are just on standby, ready to. We should be able to go back to our shareholders to say that, look, what was said has been fulfilled. This is a proof of what is being said, and then even though it may not be fully paid, but at least we'll be in a position to impress upon shareholders to be able to lift the restriction.
Thank you very much. Grateful that you could join us with your thoughts. That's Dr. Isaac Duku, who is a General Manager, Corporate Affairs at Wapco. And I want to hear from you if you live in the Ashanti region tonight. Share your thoughts with us here on Newsnight. 055-1111-997. Still ahead. Asante Hill 2432 reignites debate asking government to allow parents who can afford to pay fees on the free SHS program. And then when the media is silenced, the voiceless suffer the most. In our latest Hotline documentary, Mic On Barriers Off, we explore what free media means for persons with disabilities.
An attack on the media is also an attack on us. So let us speak against the attacks of journalists and also stand up boldly to defend the media.
Defend media freedom.
You want to stay with us for that and more. Plus some good news. Looking ahead now into the crystal ball, you can expect prices at the pumps to go down further, and George Yaffe is here with all the details on that, George.
And Evans, you're right on that one, but the reduction is not in line with what an industry data projected that we should be witnessing at the pumps from this morning. And Finance Minister Dr. Atufosson set timelines for removing the COVID-19 levy and restructuring the VAT structure. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your offers, essentials, scented tanks, and Pepsodent, Herbal, and Charcoal.
MNC Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in mineral and food commodities trading, precious metal refinery, real estate development, logistics, and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with our operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg, South Africa, Virginia, United States of America, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal.
Call us on 030-255-1917 or 030-255-1918. Send us an email at mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com.
MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks, and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom.
And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
They were sentenced, but their stories were never told.
Amina Bukari Amin. No! Amina, you have please to. Don't let me go. I don't want to go. Amina, I don't want to go, please. Amina, you have to. Please, Amina, you are free. You have to. No woman.
Image Bureau, April Communications, and Joy FM, in partnership with the UN Family in Ghana and led by the Joint United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS, present Beyond the Walls, a story of stigma, survival, and the fear of freedom. Set in the Nsawam Female Prison, National Theatre, 29th and 30th March, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each day. Tickets selling now at 200 cedis only at www.imagebureaugh.com or dial *714*46#. Beyond the Walls, supported by New Plants Car Rentals, Aquaba Mineral Water, and proudly brought to you by UNICEF and Stamping Bank.
Hey, stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. Just send it say be here met na oche. Ni hia net na oche. No bia baby say wasem demuni ni na say. Di ni hia say. Fe kwaye yesim biara so siesie wontare. Use stay soft ani hia net na oche. Na ni bo so da from kra. E fabric softener. E ni sensa. Choose stay soft. Ne hu so say no. FDID edwadin krato yatu.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, some of the oil marketing firms have started reducing prices of petroleum products at the pumps from this afternoon. However, checks by Joy Business showed that it is way below what industry data had projected. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
Based on internal documents that guide the pricing of petroleum products for the various oil marketing companies, petrol should have gone down by some 4.5%. Diesel should be reduced by 3.8%, while LPG will go down by 3.9%. However, checks by Joy Business showed that some of the oil firms that have already adjusted their prices have done that by a little over 1% at the pumps. Oil marketing firm Total Energies this afternoon, for instance, is selling a litre of petrol and diesel at 15 cedis, 49 pesos. This represents about 30 pesos decline and about 2% drop in value. We have not been able to establish whether other oil marketing firms have also reduced their prices at the pumps and what margin when putting this report together. Others have argued that maybe competition could change the dynamics in the coming days.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, has described the marginal reduction as very disappointing.
It's unfortunately what is projected and what has been delivered at the pumps as we speak. There's quite a bit of, a variance. For petrol that one would have expected to come below 15 Ghana cedis. The bigger OMCs, two of them whose prices I have seen, are still doing above 15.4. That is not that, welcoming or significant. The pricing review notification I just received from one of the larger OMCs is equally not that encouraging. One would have expected that as of this time, most of the OMCs would have done good to the consumer by declining on pump prices. But That is not what we are saying. Unfortunately, if it is the inverse, where prices are supposed to go up, then you would find a lot of the OMCs, the very first day, within the very few hours, having adjusted upward.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Tuforson has given the firm assurance that the COVID-19 levy will indeed be scrapped later this year. The Finance Minister in the 2025 budget scrapped some 5 taxes. However, the COVID-19 levy was not touched, raising a lot of concerns about government's commitment to review this tax. But speaking at the post-budget workshop for members of Parliament, the Finance Minister insisted that the review will happen.
Mr. Speaker, we intend to rationalize VAT and COVID levy later this year after stakeholders' consultation and to receive the TA, technical assistance from the IMF and VAT rationalization task force that will be commissioning in the coming days. Mr. Speaker, aside, we intend to restructure the Bank of Ghana to strengthen its independence and operationalize the efficiency to deliver more for the people of Ghana, particularly in areas of price and exchange rate stability. Beginning this year, we also intend to formalize the export of Ghanaian labor to other countries by introducing measures that will protect the Ghanaian who is working abroad.
The Finance Minister also assured that the Fiscal Responsibility Act will indeed be amended to put a ceiling on the country's debts, whilst working to ensure that the fiscal discipline is enforced in all sectors of the economy. In a separate development, the Finance Minister has also maintained that government is committed to strictly enforcing the catch-fall mechanism for the energy sector. The Minister gave this assurance at the meeting with SunPower and the Export Credit Insurance of South Africa. Now, auditing and advisory firm Deloitte has welcomed the tax reforms in the 2025 budget statement, describing it as business-friendly. According to the country managing partner Daniel Owusu, the budget sets a good tone for businesses to transform in terms of the economy rebounding. He also maintained that he has been speaking to joint businesses about addressing the Deloitte economic dialogue on the 2025 budget.
We are in a situation where we all have to tighten our belt a little bit. Do you see the government doing that? Some of it you can see them as cosmetics, but it's very important. In terms of the reduction of ministers, we have to rationalize expenditure. We have to do a lot more. For me, somewhere, somebody have to suffer. And the way I see it is that, yes, generally, it's more positive. We've seen the positive right. We are hoping that that will also incentivize businesses to do more. And once that is able to do that, then we can see the change that we're expecting within the system.
And that is the country manager at accounting firm Deloitte, Daniel Owusu. And if you are a shareholder of MTN Ghana, well, there is some good news for you, because the share price continues to rise on the Ghana Stock Exchange as a responder, or as investors cash in on the shares because of the sterling financial performance posted for last year. As a result of that, the share price went up by a peso today to close at 3 Ghana cedis, 17 pesos. That's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George. Grateful for the very latest report from the world of business. And tonight on PM Express, we still continuing with that conversation around the budget. Tomorrow, the debate begins.
Yeah.
We had the finance minister. We're privileged to have him on the show shortly after the budget was read. Today we're going to have the former finance minister,
Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam,
also join us. You know, he addressed a news conference, I believe, on Thursday, and he raised some issues.
Issues as well.
We have some serious fact checking to do, because both sides have positions on facts, and facts sometimes shouldn't be contested, but they are contested. You want to join us for that conversation?
In the Bible, they say that whose verdict will you believe, Evans?
Exactly. We'll see how we can resolve that later tonight. Let's do sports now. Mr. Cranton is here with the very latest.
Let's go straight into the stories. And Ghana's Black Stars return to action on Friday for the first time since their failure to qualify for this year's AFCON in the FIFA World Cup qualifier against Chad. Otuado's men held their first training session at the Accra Sports Stadium earlier today. Joy Sports' Joseph Ayenga Walter was at the stadium and reports.
If I speak about crisis management, I don't think we think about crisis. One thing I've learned in Germany is always...
Out of the 26 players, only 9 were present for the first session at Accra Sports Stadium. Those in attendance included...
Aljon Sports' Joseph Ayenga Walter with that report. Moving on, and former CAF Deputy General Secretary Anthony Bafo has raised concerns about crisis management at various stadia in Ghana. He says the Accra Sports Stadium in particular needs to have proper protocols in place, especially with the Black Stars game against Chad coming up on Friday.
If I speak about crisis management, I don't think we think about crisis. One thing I've learned in Germany is always to think about the aftermath, positive or negative. Sometimes when we come into the Accra Sports Stadium, we see the VIP, thousands of cars in front. So when there's an evacuation, it's going to be catastrophic. But in Ghana, we always say, until really something happens. So these things really need to change.
You heard former CAF Deputy General Secretary Anthony Bafo speaking there, bringing that into sports. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much. So live your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM, and tonight if you go onto myjoyonline.com you will see a report that the Ghana Police Service, in its quest to delve deeper into the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale, has arrested an interested party connected to the case, and it's coming on the back of the Joy News documentary highlighting the challenges that journalists face in the line of the duty. Now, the Center for Democratic Development is asking the government to do more to ensure full inclusivity for persons with disabilities. A programs officer at the CDD, Sharon Willis-Brown Aqua, also condemned the lack of accountability for journalists killed in the line of duty, calling it unacceptable. She insists justice must be served to protect media freedom and human rights. She was speaking on the back of the Joy News latest Hotline documentary, Mic On, Barriers Off, produced by Mano Jivenu. Here are excerpts.
Journalists are facing increasing risks while gathering the truth.
Illegal mining activity taking over the as you can hear, that is the sound of gunshots fired by the police.
In Ghana alone, between 2019 and 2023, over 50 cases of violence and harassment against journalists were recorded. For persons with disabilities, media freedom is not just an abstract concept, it is a bridge to social inclusion. Meet Esther Buedu, a student at the University of Ghana. Despite being visually impaired, she leads a life without limits.
Without the media, nobody is going to know of our friendship, get to know that a person living with disability and quadriplegia and visually impaired, it is possible to be friends. Without the media, nobody will get to know and even change their mentality that visually impaired is contagious. When you come close to them, you are going to be infected or get it. And with the help of the media, people get to know that disability is not inability and that we are capable of doing everything when given the opportunity.
The media has opened doors for Esther, not just to the world around her, but to her own potential. Through the media's lens, Esther's friendship, her struggles, and her dreams have been shared with a wider audience.
With the help of the media, they've been able to inspire a lot of people with our friendship. Felicity and I, when they heard of our friendship, it marveled them, but they were really thankful. They now, and there were a lot of people who broke up with their friends, but due to Felicity and I, they've been able to reunion their friendship.
But in a world where the media plays a critical role in empowering voices like Esther's, there are those who seek to silence them.
An attack on the media is also an attack on us. Without them, we can't get access to information and we'll be found wanted in the country.
In a time when journalists are under attack, it is vital to remember the role they play in sharing the stories of the voiceless.
Let's speak up to defend the media. Persons living with disability, without them, we are found wanting in society. We can't get access to information. We can't move from place to place to find information to know what is going on in the country. So let us speak against the attacks of journalists and also stand up boldly to defend the media.
Meet Isaiah Amada Awuku, a student with physical challenge. Each week, Isaiah covers 26 kilometers, navigating the steep hills of Legon campus in his manual wheelchair. His perseverance is nothing short of remarkable, but his journey has been far from easy.
I attend 12 lectures a week and I have to cover about 1.1 kilometer each. So in all, in and out for the whole week is about 26 kilometers. This is having negative impact on my studies.
After his story aired on Joy News, he received 2 electronic wheelchairs, textbooks, and financial support for his education. The Ghana Statistical Association also awarded him a full scholarship for his master's degree.
I am extremely excited and I don't know how to express my joy. Before the interview, myself, I know, I have hope, I have faith that when people hear of my story, they will surely come to my rescue. This wouldn't have come on if the media hasn't shined light on my story. The media is doing great in supporting people living with disability, that they can also achieve their aim. And I think this is very nice of them that we should encourage.
But as the media faces growing threats, so too does the potential for stories of people like Isaiah risks not being told.
An attack on the media reporters would not pave way for them to tell our success stories or bring the attention of the public to people living with disability. People just see people with disability and discriminate against them, but through the media nowadays people get to realize that no, these people, they are also capable of doing something.
For persons with disabilities, media freedom is not just about information. It is about recognition, inclusion, and the right to be seen, heard, and valued.
Defend media freedom.
Defend media freedom.
We can now hear from the program's officer at CDD, Sharon Willis Brown Aqua, as she condemns the lack of accountability for journalists killed in the line of duty.
The government really needs to set up, when it comes to inclusivity in here, the media or media persons do not need to end their lives, get injured just because they are doing their work. It is not acceptable. But we live in a society, unfortunately, where people lose their lives and simple investigations into the loss of their lives are not even investigated. They aren't done. I mean, nobody is championing it. And I mean, suspects always end up going scot-free, even when the evidence is so clear and is pointing at one or two persons.
Right.
There's no accountability.
Okay.
And we need to set up as a state.
You're still listening to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Asante Hino Tumfo 32 has called for reforms to Ghana's free senior high school program, asking government to allow parents who can afford to pay fees. He has been speaking during a courtesy call by the Education Minister.
Joe.
The E-blocks have stalled. Funding education is a challenge, but some sectors that aren't critical could have their funds reduced to be rechanneled to the education sector to improve education. Some dormitories in the schools are still not occupied. Some schools do not have science and IT labs. Even the PTA fees are no longer available. Government should look at these challenges and address them.
Oh, aduane a yedi ebi ni ho na ni nyina ye hwe ne hu se de siche. Yo. Mo hwe ni nyina ni hu free senior high school aye am pass ye de.
We are indeed rolling out the free teachers, but if we brainstorm and realize students will have to go to school and be asked to return home because there is no food, then it is of no use. Let us take a critical look at it. If some parents can pay, we should allow them. In the past, if you pass your exam, we check up with the BEZA to assist the brilliant but needy students. That's where we had the COCO scholarships.
COCO boss scholarship, those days, they are moving. Never be to a transfer, no train or dear, who's want to interest you, try near whom. BEZA no who's a way to interest near their school administration. Best near man on so called. It is a bread, they're more Kenya, and never hope. They more than a mother brought for now to 2
And that's a tune for Osei Tutu II. Now, scores of distressed parents today rushed to the Laboni Senior High School to pick up their awards after fire ripped through 2 dormitories and reduced students' belongings, including mattresses, chop boxes, books, clothes, furniture, to ashes. Some 155 students have been affected. No injuries have been reported. Crowds of students were evacuated when the fire broke out around midday on Sunday before firefighters contained the blaze. The situation has some students on campus without power. Some affected students spoke to Joy News.
They used the water to quench the fire, so we ran out of water in the dormitory. But they came to refill it yesterday and we used everything this morning.
Oh, okay.
So we've run out of water again.
Okay, so how long is this going to take? Are you always going to fetch water?
Right now we don't know. Right now we don't know, but for this evening then we know we have to go there to get water.
Okay.
As for tomorrow morning, we have no idea if they will provide us water or we'll still have to do the same thing tomorrow.
So aside from the water not flow, the tap not flowing, what are some of the challenges you're facing? Do you have electricity?
No, we don't have electricity, but some students don't have places to sleep.
Okay.
So they are finding somewhere for them.
So where did they sleep last night?
Some were given empty beds in the rooms. Yeah, some people also slept on the floor outside.
Right now we are trying to look for things that survived from the fire and put all together so that we find a way for it.
What did you lose?
I lost my bed sheets, my books, and a lot of things.
Okay. So have you reached out to your parents or something?
Yes, please.
And what are they saying?
The house mistress told them that we are okay, so.
Well, the education minister has been to the school today to commiserate and to assure that relief will arrive. And some parents have also been there today to pick up their children. Now, in our Ghana Man series tonight, we take you on the journey through the history of the Kotoka International Airport. Collins Frimpong has more in the following report read to you.
International Airport was originally built as a military base during World War II, serving as a strategic outpost for Allied forces. After Ghana gained independence in 1957, it was converted into a civilian airport and initially named Accra International Airport. In 1969, it was renamed in honor of Lieutenant General Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka. Today, Kotoka International Airport has evolved into a major aviation hub with an annual passenger capacity of approximately 5 million. The airport comprises 3 terminals, including Terminal 3, the newest and largest completed in 2018 as the primary international terminal. Its 3,403-meter runway allows it to accommodate some of the world's largest aircraft, including the Boeing 747 and Airbus A380. However, despite having a modern airport, Ghana has struggled to sustain a national airline. The country's former flagship carrier, Ghana Airways, was grounded due to financial difficulties and later transitioned into Ghana International Airlines. Mounting debt, including a £4 million lawsuit from BUAC that resulted in the seizure of one of its aircraft in London ultimately led to its collapse. Efforts to revive a national airline have repeatedly stalled. In 2019, the government signed an MOU with Boeing to acquire 3 787 Dreamliners, with Egypt Air expressing interest in assisting with the project. Years later, however, those plans remain unrealized. For now, Kotoka International Airport continues to serve as Ghana's international gateway, and the dream of a national airline remains grounded. Collins Frimpon's report read to you for Joy News.
And that's it for News Night tonight. A few of your messages just before we go. Musa Abatusazi, Energy Minister, has provided a clear explanation of the issue, which I appreciate. However, a timely communication to the public should be a priority. And Samin Kumasi says it is good that critical thinking heads the energy sector were able to fix the problems which had been causing intermittent power outages these days in the Ashanti region. And the final one from Nana Kwamwa says, fellow Ghanaians, let's come together and fight this Galamsey fight. We have no option but to win this fight. And that's on the back of the Environmental Protection Authority demanding the declaration of a state of emergency to deal with the Galamseyers and illegal miners ruthlessly. Let's hear your thoughts on our many social media platforms and go on to myjoyonline.com for all the details.